Today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and how that relates to starting and running your bookkeeping business. If you're new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and turn on notifications to get a bookkeeping video from me every single week. So I'm assuming you guys have heard the term imposter syndrome before. It's getting like a pretty common phrase, but if you haven't, just go ahead and Google it. But basically it just means that you feel like you're not good enough to be a bookkeeper and to talk with clients and to take on client work. All right, and kind of broke this video up into 4 different sections. The first one is just talking about how you're not alone in feeling imposter syndrome. The second one is tips on how to talk with bookkeeping clients. The next part is talking about how you can learn as you go and figure out things for each client. And the last part is some mindset changes that you can make. All right, so first of all, you're not alone in feeling imposter syndrome. I get tons of emails and comments every day about how people are just nervous about getting started, or they're nervous about getting their first client and they feel like they don't have enough knowledge to be a bookkeeper. I have definitely felt imposter syndrome, and I still do in some cases, even after being a bookkeeper for over 6 years. I was reading an article and it said over 70% of people feel imposter syndrome, and that's everyone from like celebrities like YOLO to Neil Armstrong. So you're not alone in feeling this. And if you think about it, feeling imposter syndrome is almost an important part of business because you want to always be striving and to get outside of your comfort zone. So if you're just always maintaining like a low level of what you're capable of, then you're really never pushing yourself. So you really want to get that feeling of feeling outside your comfort zone and pushing yourself. And one thing you can do to help this is just find a mentor or find a friend, find someone that you can talk to about your problems, someone who's been through it and who can offer you some advice. And when talking with clients about bookkeeping, I know it can be nerve-wracking, especially if you haven't met that client or if it's someone that seems like they're kind of outside of your area of expertise. One thing I would say is focus on what you can do. Maybe you've taken the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certification, so you have some knowledge under your belt. So focus on what you can do and focus on how far you have come. Think about someone who knows nothing about bookkeeping and how far you have come from there. Probably your client knows way less than you do about bookkeeping. Do be realistic about what you can do. I mean, don't promise like that you can do a really complicated task that is really outside of your comfort level. And you absolutely do not have to know everything about every client. Even now, anytime I get a new client, I'm constantly learning new things. I'll learn because there's so many different tasks in bookkeeping. There's always something new to learn or ways to tweak what you have learned or learn a new business workflow. A tip that I would definitely recommend utilizing is if you're not sure about something, just tell the person, oh, I'll get back to you later. I'll do some research on that and I'll let you know the answer. So that will give you time if you're talking with them to take a little breath, do some research and get back to them with the answer. Because you can figure out pretty much everything online now. I mean, there's tons of information on YouTube, tons of information on the internet that you can find about bookkeeping. And my last tip about working with clients in particular is take the focus off yourself. If you're just constantly thinking about how inferior you are and how you don't have the information you need, that is going to come across to the client. So your focus should be 100% on helping them and doing everything you can to find out about their business, find out all the little things that make their business work and how you can best help them. Leave me a comment down below about what your biggest hurdle is in your bookkeeping business or getting started. And for the next week, I'm going to reply to every single comment and give you guys my thoughts on it. And as well as hopefully other bookkeepers in this group can reply as well, and we can just support each other and help each other out. And number 3, you can figure it out. I made a video about Everything is Figure Outable, which is a book by Marie Forleo. And so I'll link it down below. I'm not sure if it's going to come out before or after this one. But in that book, she just talks about how any problem you come across, you have the ability to figure it out. And another person here on YouTube, he has a channel called Bookkeeping Life. He talks about just-in-time learning. So that, of course, is the concept that you don't know everything in your brain. You figure out you need to learn a certain skill. Maybe you need to learn about classes in QuickBooks. And you can figure that out just in time to help your client. And then I know sometimes it's really overwhelming, so I'd encourage you as much as you can to take baby steps to figure things out. So for example, if you want to start your bookkeeping business and you are overwhelmed with the possibilities of where to start, you can check out my video about how to start a bookkeeping business. So start there, and then I also created a class about how to start a bookkeeping business, and it's called Bookkeeper Business Coach. So the idea is that I coach you through step-by-step of each process of starting your business. So I just have 4 weeks, and each week has 3 action steps, and it's meant to just take away the overwhelm and that decision making and just be like, okay, this week you're working on these 3 things and these three things only. So just that concept of taking small steps in the right direction. My mother-in-law always says, just do one thing. So if you have a giant to-do list, you're super overwhelmed by it, If you just start with one thing, that is, again, just a step in the right direction. And then just some simple mindset changes can help you out a ton. I saw this quote and I can't remember it exactly, but it was something like, someone else who isn't as talented as you is farther ahead of you just because they started before you. So the point of that is just to get started. And you only live once, so what's the worst that can happen if you start your bookkeeping business and it totally bombs? Like, you're kind of in the same place you are now, not having a business. Maybe you're out a couple $100s for your bookkeeping license, but you know, there are worse things. If you can kind of think about job interviews or client interviews as like an experiment, so maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But again, you won't know unless you actually try it. One thing that really helps me is to track my success. So maybe make a list of my goals, and then as I complete them, put them in a place where I can look at them and I can know that I have come a long way and I did achieve these things. I'm someone also who enjoys inspirational quotes. I know some people like mantras that they can say to themselves every morning, like, I can do this, I can start this business. So again, all the information for Bookkeeper Business Coach, my course, will be linked in the description box down below. I know that the course won't cure imposter syndrome for the rest of your life, but it will help you get started, give you multiple tangible steps to get over the first hurdles. Thank you guys so much. I'd love it if you smash the like button down below, and I'll be talking to you next week.